welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Jahan, and today I'm going to be giving you 5 tips of how to return to work when you've taken a career break or any kind of break. So if you like this type of thing, don't forget to give this video a like and do subscribe to my channel because it really helps. So in my professional world, I am an HR director, so I just want to give you a few tips on how to return back to work because I am too going back to work. And I just wanted to give you some advice on how to manage that, especially when it can feel quite daunting over the first few weeks. So the first thing that I would do is to write down all the things that you're anxious about, really, and then write down all the positive things that going back to work are going to bring to you in your life. Because sometimes it's really good just to stop and take some reflection about all the possibilities that going back to work will give you, whether it's earning for just living day to day and surviving, or whether it's saving for something specific, or because you feel like you're going to be meeting new people, making new friends, building your confidence. There are so many great reasons about returning to work, and I think if you write those things down, it can help you realise this is a good thing, because sometimes returning to work for some people doesn't feel great, and it can be quite nerve-wracking, and I think it's really important to write down all the good reasons of why you're going back to work, and also all the things that you're anxious about. And then you can see, if you're anxious about, will people like me, you can ask yourself the question, why wouldn't they? Will I be able to do the work? Why wouldn't you? You've got the job, you're there, you've been offered it for a reason. So all those sort of things, you can just combat those things with some good thoughts and writing it down and planning in your head, you're getting your head mentally ready for that kind of thing and planning it so you don't let the noise get in the way. The next one seems obvious, but some people don't do it, especially now because a lot of people have had their interviews online, on Zoom, Teams, Google, that kind of thing. They probably haven't done a recce of seeing how to get to the office. So planning your train journey if the trains don't work, because I live in London and very often things don't go to plan. Trying to plan your time so you're not in a rush, what time's best to leave, giving yourself a little bit more extra time whilst you are just trying to find your bearings. Even if you know the area, it's always good to give yourself a bit more time. You can also stop in a coffee shop if you want to, have a relax. So when you go in, you're very calm, you're happy to meet people, and people are seeing the best version of you for the first impression, because first impressions do count, and it's good that you can turn up, don't feel stressed, and go into your first day relaxed. So preparing yourself for your travel is really important. Preparing clothing and outfits, and preparing how you're going to wear your hair or your shoes or all that kind of stuff. Anything that takes the stress out of those first initial days are really important, whether it's preparing what you're going to eat for the week, buying yourself a water bottle so you can fill it up when you get to work, so you've got something there ready at work that you can leave there and say, okay, this is my water bottle for the week, which is something that I've done. I don't like using single-use plastics. I'm not sure what the setup is over there, so I've bought myself a bottle already that I can take with me, and that will be the bottle that I leave at work, that kind of stuff. So just thinking ahead a bit more about, what do I need to make this week easier for me? Do I need to pay my train pass now? Do I need to top up my Oyster card, or whatever the equivalent is wherever you are in the world, that kind of stuff. So just thinking about preparations, those practical things that you may not think of but are really important, just to make sure that you're not too stressed when you arrive. This is one that you might find difficult, because when you get a job, there is that feeling of expectation to be the most amazing person. You're going to be looked at, you're going to be judged, it's that kind of stuff. You know what, take the pressure off yourself. When you start a new job, there are so many things you need to learn. You need to learn how to get there, you need to learn people's names, you need to learn your way around the office, where are the bathrooms, where are the kitchen. It can feel really overwhelming. Just take the pressure off yourself doing that kind of stuff. Try and speak to as many people as you can. Get somebody to introduce you across the office if that's not already been arranged for you. But the biggest thing is trying to take the mental pressure off yourself. Remember, it's a new job, it's a new start, you've had a break, it's going to take you some time to get to speed with things, and the expectation that you are going to hit the ground running and keep going, and people love to use that in job adverts or in interviews. We need somebody to hit the ground running. very often they don't literally mean that. There is always a window of learning and a grace period of where you can get to speed of things and get to know the technologies and how things work and all that kind of stuff. So take the pressure off yourself when you're going in, and this really leads to the next one, is also set your expectations. So when I got my first job in the city, it was when like everybody had Blackberries, and people used to call them Crackberries because they were so addictive, and I'd be answering emails later to the evening and thinking that's what's expected of you when you work in the city and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't do these things early on when you start a job, people will expect you to start answering emails at 10 o'clock and setting that as a precedent, and you don't want to do that. And that's something I learned really early on in my career. At one point I just thought, no, I'm not doing this any longer. I'm gonna shut off at 5:30 or 6 o'clock or whatever it was, and they're not going to look at this email anyway until tomorrow. They're not going to action it, not going to do anything. And one person's version of urgent is not the next person's version of urgent either. So some people say urgent, they mean immediately. Some people mean, oh, actually you can give it a couple of days, but they say it's urgent anyway. So just set that level of expectation up front, work in your pattern, and as long as you're effective in what you're doing, no one will question how you decide to work. So it's really important that you set up those boundaries and you set that level of expectations earlier on, so they just know how you work. Because again, like you said, you got the job for a reason, you are capable of doing the position, so it's just managing how people see you and perceive you when you're doing your work. So make sure you set that expectation up front. And lastly, my biggest tip is don't forget to rest. Those first couple of weeks in a new job are tiring, more so mentally than physically. Learning so many new things, learning how a company does things, so different to the place before, or if it's your first job even, it's mentally draining. So make sure you rest, make sure you're drinking enough water, you're going to bed early enough, you're eating well, you're not drinking too much alcohol or socialising too much in those first couple of weeks. I know it's tempting to, especially as we go back into the office and workplaces are doing a lot more things together, it's tempting to do that kind of stuff. But remember, you've got like a whole career to do these kind of things, and if it's a company that you're thinking, I want to stay here for a good amount of time, you do have time to do it. So it's good to get some rest and make sure that you've planned some rest time, especially on the weekend, and you're preparing for that Monday again, that you just take some time out to actually take stock and not get too overwhelmed in the first couple of weeks of work. It's really important because you will feel tired, and you don't want to show that tiredness too much when you're in the office, especially when you're new. So I hope you like these tips. Do you have any tips that you would give anybody about coming back to work, rejoining work? I really hope if you are on that journey, if you are about to start work again, it goes really well. Let us know how it's gone, and I would love to hear about your experiences from taking career breaks and things. Career breaks can be great if you can afford to do those. It's always good to take some time out, take some stock and decide what you want to do. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.